My name is Robert King. I'm 45 now, and until 10 months earlier, I honestly believed my path was clear. I held a job as a construction project manager in Orlando, Florida, earning a steady 85 grand a year. Not luxury, but more than enough to keep my wife Victoria and me secure in our small 3-bedroom home on Maple Street in College Park. Victoria and I had been together for 8 years. She was stunning, driven, and came from wealth. The sort of old Florida fortune that builds golf clubs in gated neighborhoods. Her relatives, the Wilsons, never felt I was worthy of their cherished daughter. They made that point obvious when they demanded I sign a prenuptial deal before our wedding in December 2016. It's just to safeguard the family wealth, Victoria's father, Charles Wilson, explained in his attorney's downtown office. Don't take it personally, Robert. It's business. I signed with little hesitation. Love makes you act irrationally. I was completely taken by Victoria. The agreement appeared simple. Whatever belonged to them stayed theirs. Whatever was mine stayed mine. Anything gained together in marriage would be shared property. Easy to understand. If you like tales of cold revenge and shocking twists, hit like on this video and subscribe now. Fresh unseen stories appear here daily, each one more gripping than the last. For 8 years, our marriage was steady. We weren't wealthy, but we were content. Victoria worked part-time at a gallery downtown, more for love than income, making around $26,000 yearly. We spoke about children, maybe moving into a bigger house someday, regular married life topics. Then, one Tuesday in October 2024, it all shifted. Victoria had been using the same lottery numbers for ages, a mix of family dates and anniversaries. Someday, she'd laugh. Those numbers would make us rich. That Tuesday, they really did. $12 million. After federal tax, with Florida not taxing winnings, it came to about $8.1 million. I recall staring at the ticket in our kitchen that night, hardly believing it was real. Victoria screamed, jumping around, calling her parents on her phone. "We're rich, Robert," she yelled, hugging me tight. "We're truly rich." For 10 minutes, I thought our wishes had become reality. That same night, Victoria's entire family arrived at the house. Her parents, her brother David, even her arrogant Aunt Margaret, who usually ignored me. They celebrated, uncorking champagne, making plans, yet something felt wrong. The way they stared at me had shifted. At first subtle, side glances, talk stopping once I entered the room. Victoria appeared different too. Distant, cold. Over the following days it worsened. She started long private calls with her family. She'd walk out when I came near, whispering. When I asked about our future with the money, she dodged. "We need to be wise about this, Robert," she'd insist. "My father knows people, financial experts. We need to shield our fortune." 3 weeks after the win, on November 2nd, Victoria sat me down in the living room. Her parents were there too, my first warning sign. "Robert," she began, her tone oddly formal, "we need to discuss our situation." Charles Wilson cleared his throat. "Son, this lottery gain alters everything. Victoria's windfall needs strong protection." "Our win," I corrected. "We're married. What's hers is mine. What's mine is hers." Silence filled the room. Victoria's mother Patricia shared a glance with her husband. David grinned from the window. "Actually, Robert," Charles went on, "that isn't how it works. Lottery money is often treated as personal property." I turned to Victoria. She finally spoke. "Robert, I think we should spend some time apart. This money, it's mine. I chose the numbers." I felt crushed. "What are you saying, Victoria?" "I'm saying I want a divorce," she answered, avoiding my eyes. "And I want you to leave today." Charles leaned forward. "The prenup covers both sides. Victoria's lottery prize is separate property. You don't get any share." I sat stunned. 8 years of marriage discarded the instant true wealth appeared. "I see," I said quietly. "So this was orchestrated." "Nothing was planned," Victoria snapped. "But now that we have this chance, I won't let anyone exploit me." Exploit. That's what she called our life together. "Fine," I said, standing. "I'll pack." She looked relieved. Her family seemed pleased at my calm surrender. They had no clue what they'd triggered. That night I moved into an extended stay America on International Drive, paying $115 a night. But instead of drowning in despair, I did what they wouldn't expect. I called a lawyer. Not just anyone. I called James Hayes, one of the best divorce attorneys in Central Florida. I'd first heard his name from coworkers who had gone through ugly divorces. His consultation cost $600, but it was worth every cent. Mr. King, Hayes said during our meeting the next morning at his office on Orange Avenue, tell me about this prenup. I gave him the copy I'd kept filed away at home. Hayes studied it intently, his face becoming more intrigued with each page. This is remarkable, he finally said. Your wife's lawyer drafted it with extreme precision, almost too much. What are you saying? I asked. He pointed to section 4.2 on page 3. Right here, it clearly states that any assets, prizes, or winnings earned during marriage shall be divided as marital property if divorce occurs. But they told me lottery winnings count as personal. Hayes shook his head. In Florida, tickets purchased with marital money are considered shared. And even if Victoria used her own cash, this contract actually overrides that. Mr. King, your in-laws practically delivered you the crown jewels. Cold satisfaction spread through me. So I could claim half? According to this document, yes, but we'll need to play smart. They'll fight viciously, and they're loaded. My retainer is $18,000. I maxed my credit card and tapped my 401k to cover it. Best choice I ever made. Within 2 weeks, Victoria's family showed their hand. They hired Orlando's priciest divorce lawyer, Bradley Morrison, a shark whose specialty was protecting rich clients. His fee, $950 per hour. Morrison fired off hostile letters insisting I drop any right to the lottery. His claim, since Victoria chose the numbers and bought the ticket, it was hers alone. They underestimated me badly. They saw some blue-collar husband who'd fold quickly. They were wrong. Hayes and I spent November and December building our case carefully. We logged everything. When the ticket was bought, which account it came from, even proof that Victoria had long used our joint Wells Fargo account for her tickets. The real victory came when Hayes found gold in Florida statutes. Robert, he told me in late December, Florida statute 61.075 makes it plain. Lottery winnings during marriage are marital property unless explicitly excluded. But didn't the prenup take them out? Hayes grinned. That's the irony. The prenup your in-laws demanded actually secures your claim. They included language about prizes and winnings on purpose, never realizing it would backfire. Their paranoia about guarding old wealth gave you rights to new money. Meanwhile, Victoria was burning through cash. In November, she bought an $87,000 BMW X5, loaded up on designer labels, and put $750,000 down on a waterfront condo in Winter Park. Her Instagram overflowed with shots from high-end restaurants like the Ravenous Pig and shopping sprees at Mall at Millennia. She flaunted our fortune openly, and the internet recorded everything. The divorce battle officially launched in January 2025. Morrison came out aggressive. He filed to dismiss my claim, branding me a gold digger twisting the rules. At our first hearing in Orange County Courthouse on January 15th, he strutted in wearing a $2,000 Armani suit, cracking jokes about greedy spouses. Your Honor, Morrison argued, Mr. King is demanding half of winnings that my client earned solely through luck and intuition. She picked the numbers and used her own money. This is clearly her separate property. Judge Patricia Henderson, 18 years on the bench, listened calmly. Known for fairness and detail, she nodded as Hayes rose. Your Honor, Florida law is unambiguous. More importantly, the prenuptial agreement Mr. Morrison's clients required clearly says any prizes or winnings acquired during marriage count as marital property. Morrison sneered. That clause was for minor raffle prizes, not a $12 million jackpot. Hayes stayed calm. The language says any prizes, Your Honor, no limits. Judge Henderson ordered all documents and gave 2 weeks to review. Victoria was livid. Friends said she screamed at her parents, blaming them for the prenup terms. The Wilsons started to panic. Early February, Charles Wilson phoned me directly, something he'd never done once in 8 years. Robert, let's be reasonable. We'll give you $1.2 million to walk away. That's more than you've ever seen. I'll consider it, I told him, though my mind was set. 2 days later, Victoria herself appeared at my motel room. She looked drained. The parties had worn her down. Robert, please, she begged. We can fix this. The money, it consumed me. My family pressured me. Pressured about what, Victoria? Splitting what we won together? I'll give you $3.2 million, she said frantically. Please, Robert, we can both start new. I looked at the woman I'd once adored and felt only pity. It was never the money, I told her. It was respect. She left in tears. The discovery phase in February and March showed just how badly they'd blundered. Hayes subpoenaed every financial record, proving Victoria had used our joint account for tickets since 2019. It was a clear marital habit. Worse for her, Morrison had advised she spend the winnings. She mixed them with shared funds, bought assets, and in doing so, legally commingled everything. That only cemented our claim even further. The final blow landed when Hayes uncovered that Morrison had made a huge mistake. In his rush to file motions back in November, he had actually admitted in court papers that the ticket was bought during the marriage with joint funds. He just sank his own argument. Hayes said with a grin he struggled to hide. Morrison is so used to intimidating people into quick deals that he got careless. The last hearing was set for April 18, 2025. As it drew near, the Wilsons' desperation was obvious. They even hired a private investigator to dig up dirt on me. He came up empty. I had lived a clean, simple life. They tried accusing me of emotional abuse, hoping it would cut my share. Victoria testified in deposition that I had been manipulative and controlling. But they had zero proof. No police reports, no medical records, no witnesses. It was fabricated. Hayes crushed their claims with phone logs showing Victoria made every financial decision in our marriage. Bank records showed I never restricted her access to money. Her own posts online proved she lived free and happy all those years. 3 days before court, Morrison tried one last offer, $4.5 million. It's a fair deal, Robert, Hayes cautioned. Trial always carries risk, even with our strong hand. I shook my head. This isn't about squeezing money, James. It's about justice. That night, I couldn't sleep in my motel. My thoughts circled back to the prenup meant to keep me from their family fortune. The irony was poetic. Their greed had become the weapon against them. Victoria's family had always looked down on men like me. Working-class people who earned through sweat and honesty. They believed money made them superior. The next day, they'd learn otherwise. April 18th was hot and gray, classic Florida spring. I wore my best suit, a Navy Joseph A. Bank I had bought for our wedding 8 years earlier. The irony wasn't lost on me. The Orange County courthouse was crowded. Word had spread, and local TV crews from West 2 and Fox 35 were outside. Construction worker fights for lottery millions had become a headline. Victoria sat flanked by her family, pale and tense. Morrison whispered urgently in her ear, clearly trying to brace her. At 9 sharp, Judge Henderson entered. We are here for King versus King. Case number 2025, DR 000-28470. Mr. Morrison, you may begin. Morrison stood tall, but I noticed his hands trembling. Your Honor, this is about a bitter husband trying to steal wealth he never earned. Mrs. King picked those numbers, bought the ticket, and claimed the prize on her own. Hayes stayed seated, calm, writing notes on a yellow pad. Morrison spoke for 20 minutes, insisting lottery money was personal, that the prenup never covered such windfalls, and that I was a greedy opportunist. When he finished, Judge Henderson turned to Hayes. Mr. Hayes, your opening. Hayes rose slowly. Your Honor, this case is clear. The prenuptial contract signed in December 2016 explicitly states that any prizes or winnings obtained during marriage are marital property. Florida law supports this position, and we also have evidence showing the ticket was purchased with marital funds while the marriage was ongoing. He stared directly at Morrison. The defense asked this court to disregard their own agreement simply because they disliked the result. The evidence phase devastated their side. Hayes produced years of records of tickets bought from our shared Wells Fargo account. He showed how Victoria mixed her winnings with other joint assets. He even displayed the Wawa gas station receipt, where she bought the winning ticket on October 8, 2024, paid with our joint debit card at 3:47 p.m. Morrison's cross-exam was weak. He argued Victoria had intended to keep the winnings separate, but intent doesn't count once the money is mixed. Then came the moment I had waited for. Hayes attacked Morrison's filings directly. Mr. Morrison, in your motion dated November 18, 2024, you wrote, and I quote, the lottery ticket in question was purchased during the marriage with funds from the marital estate. Do you recall writing that? Morrison went pale. That was a mistake. A mistake you signed and filed under penalty of perjury? Ah, yes. Judge Henderson leaned forward. Mr. Morrison, are you saying you filed false documents? No, Your Honor. I misspoke in the filing. I meant, Hayes cut in. Your Honor, his own filing proves our case. He admitted the winning ticket came from marital funds. The Wilsons looked crushed. Charles sweated through his Brooks Brothers shirt. Patricia shook her head. Victoria looked shaken as she took the stand. Mrs. King, Hayes began, you testified that you always meant to keep any lottery prize as your separate property, correct? Yes. Then why did you place the full $7.2 million into your Bank of America personal checking account, the same one you've always used for household expenses? Victoria hesitated. I needed somewhere to put it. But you already have a SunTrust account, correct? One your husband never had access to? Yes. With over $63,000 in it, right? Yes. So you had a safe place to keep it separate, but you chose not to. Instead, you mixed it with marital money and spent it, correct? Victoria glanced helplessly at Morrison, but he had no rescue. I suppose. Hayes produced the BMW sales contract from Fields BMW. You bought this vehicle on November 15, 2024, 5 days after depositing the winnings, correct? Yes. For $87,000? Yes. Using lottery funds? Yes. Did you talk with your husband about this major expense? We were separated. Ma'am, you didn't even file for divorce until November 20th. At that time, you were still legally married. So again, did you consult him? No. At 12:30, Judge Henderson called for lunch. In the hallway, Charles Wilson approached me once more. Robert, this is insane. We'll appeal anything she rules. This could drag on forever. That's your call, Charles. I've got patience and a sharp lawyer. The afternoon was short. At 2:15, Judge Henderson delivered her ruling. I've reviewed all testimony and state law. The prenuptial contract signed in December 2016 is plain. Section 4 clearly states that any prizes or winnings obtained during marriage are marital assets. Florida Statute 61-5 confirms this. Additionally, Mrs. King's act of mixing the winnings with marital funds demonstrates she herself treated them as shared property. Victoria broke down in tears. Her mother squeezed her hand. Therefore, I grant Mr. King 50% of the net lottery winnings, totaling $4.05 million. Mrs. King, you have 60 days to sell assets if necessary. The gavel struck at 2:22. Outside, reporters swarmed me with questions. I ignored them all except one from Channel 9. Mr. King, how does this victory feel? I paused. Justice always feels good. 2 months later, in June 2025, I invested part of my award into buying a small construction firm from a retiring builder. Today, King Construction employs 38 workers and focuses on affordable homes across Central Florida. Victoria was forced to give up her BMW, cancel the Winter Park condo deposit, and sell off most of her luxury items to pay me. Last I heard, she worked at her father's real estate office in Winter Garden, making $42,000 a year. The Wilsons never contacted me again, which suited me fine. They had already revealed their true selves when they thought I was disposable. Sometimes the greatest revenge isn't revenge at all. It's letting people choke on the fallout of their own greed and arrogance. They built the very weapon that ended them. I merely chose to wield it. If you enjoyed this story, tap like and drop a comment with your thoughts. And if you're not subscribed, be sure to join and turn on notifications to catch new stories as they release. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.